In this video, I'm gonna talk about how can you get in structure all the information that you need about your project and how can you use this information to create reports that would add value to all the stakeholders involved in the project. This video is part of our ongoing effort to provide best possible training around Jira, Confluence, and whole Atlassian ecosystem. If you would like to support us, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment underneath if you have any questions, and remember that you can always reach out to us for one of our paid services like trainings, consultations, or implementations. Okay, so let's have a look at the tool. I'm in structure currently, and I selected specific structure called POC structure. So this structure represents my whole project. All the issues that are being delivered in my project are in this structure, so you can see them over here. Now, there are two features that will be key for our reporting and in general pulling out information about the status of our project that you can see over here. So first of all is that we have a hierarchy over here, right? So we have some tasks that are treated as a parents, some tasks that are treated as a children, and there is in general multi-level hierarchy. This will be important for the future. And the second feature is that over here next to each task, you can see multiple columns. These columns actually can be edited. We can decide what kind of columns are available over here. So let's actually start going through what we see over here currently and what can we do more with that. Okay, so first column we have over here is progress. And this is always a tricky one because how you define the progress, right? Some will say that this is the number of tasks that are closed, and some will say that no, wait. The tasks should be actually weighted because small task that is closed is not the same weight as the large one that we're still working on, right? So, and depending on how do you estimate work, do you log time, how do you want to look at the data, the progress might be different for different projects, for different project managers, right? Fortunately, over here in structure, we can define it pretty nicely. So I will click over here. You will see that I have some options to configure this field. At the moment, it's displayed as a kind of a progress bar. I can show percentage. It will show me percentage value, but that's not the most important thing. What is interesting is here a bit lower. So what the progress should be based on. At the moment, I have time tracking. So this will basically take into consideration what was the estimate of work, how much work was logged, and based on that, it will track progress. But again, not everyone uses original estimate. Some estimate in story points, and not everyone logs work. So what else could we look at? So we could look at whether whether resolution of a task is set or not, status, or custom percentage field. So we'll cover two of them, status and custom percentage field. I think that these are the most interesting ones and most often used. So custom percentage field is pretty easy. We can just select custom field that we have on issue level, and this custom field will contain some kind of number information, how many percentage of a task is done. This could be set manually, this could be somehow calculated automatically, but we can take into consideration that field and basically based on that calculate what's the progress. And in that case, we are able to tell what should be the weight of the issue, or so if we'll have two issues, one done fully, so 100% progress, second one only 0% of progress. So with equal, it would be basically 50% done, right? But we can expand this and say that no, this issue should be weighted based on time estimate, for example, based on story points, and several other options. So we are able to tell that the issue that is actually already done was larger than the one that is 0% progress, so will be more than 50% done actually. So this is really cool stuff. Let's also look at the status, because how would you think about the status, right? It's obvious if something is not started yet, 0% progress. And if something is done, 100%. But what with all the statuses that are in between? And here, structure allows to decide what kind of percentage value will be associated with each status, right? So over here I have open and to do 0%, in progress is 50%, closed and done 100%. I could add more statuses over here. And of course, if you have more complex workflow, where, for example, you first have analysis, then development, then testing, and so on, for each of the statuses, you will be able to set the percentage value. So analysis could be 20%, development another 50, so 70 in total, and so on and so on. Of course, this will be approximation, right? So it's not perfect, because for some issues, specific amount of work on specific status will be different, but as an approximation, it could be pretty precise for the larger amount of issues. And over here, we can still add how the tasks should be weighted. So you can already see that in this single field, in the single progress field, there is quite a lot of options. And this information is summed up to the parent level. So on the hardware, there is 0% of progress, but on the firmware, 82% of progress. So if we drill down over here, we'll see specific epics and the progress on these epics based on its children. And we drill down lower, we'll see the progress for all of its children. So depending on the progress of which part we want to see, whether some high-level element like whole project or maybe just epics or tasks with subtasks, we can drill down and see only the part or the progress of the level that we're really interested in at the moment. Let's move on and see what other information we have here and what we can put here. So we have a sprint information. You can see that on the task level, we have information to which sprints the task was assigned. This is one of the fields or one of the columns that just displays in pretty straightforward way a field that is stored on issue level, right? So we could add multiple other fields of that type. Over here, we have an option to add a column. And we could say that, for example, okay, I want to see assignee, right? I will click over here and the assignee column will be added. So this is pretty straightforward. It just takes value from the issue and it displays it. Although this is straightforward, it is really important and useful, especially if you, for example, want to see the amount of time spent or the total estimate for a specific issue or set of issues. This is important part. So if we look over here, for example, original estimate, straightforward shows the original estimate from the issue level. But if we click over here, we can decide again, should it sum over sub items? Should it exclude the duplicates and exclude filtered items? So basically on the parent level, we are able to display either sum of its children or sum of its children and the value on the parent level. So we have actually a pretty good example over here. So you can see that this epic, and currently we have the sum over sub items enabled. So on this epic, we see that the overall sum of this epic and all the children of the original estimate values of these are 1 day and 2 minutes. This epic by itself is estimated just for 2 minutes. If we drill down, you will see that in fact, children of these epics, there is just 1 additional day estimated. So already here, just on this single level, by taking information from the field on Jira issues and summing them, we see pretty nicely where this value comes from. So in total, 1 day, 2 minutes. This is epic plus the children. The epic itself has only 2 minutes of estimation currently. So that kind of summing up and deciding whether we want to exclude duplicates. Usually I do that because in structure, single issue might be displayed in multiple places, not in my hierarchy, because Epic link is basically always one-to-one, but there can be situations where issue is displayed twice. And we could exclude filtered items, for example, if you would like to see only estimates for the tasks planned for specific release. We can do the filtering by this release, and then we will see some only for this specific release. So this is pretty nice. And if we disable this one, you'll see that basically no sum is over here. Now we see only value of Epic. We need to drill down to see the children, but in general, I'm a fan of having this one enabled. Okay, so for now we discussed the progress, which is pretty configurable and flexible field. We've talked about information sourced from issue level, from the fields in issues, and this in most of the cases will be a backbone of all the reports, because usually what we are interested in is some kind of information sourced from issues, aggregated, whether this is original estimate, time spent, number of issues with specific status, and so on and so on. For most cases, these are the fields that are interesting to us. But structure adds one more field type, or the column type, that is really powerful. And these are the formulas. So I have several of them. Here I think is an empty one. Yeah, no, there is something, so we'll return it here. But in general, I can click over here and add formula column. So if I'll do that, I will have to define the name and the formula itself. It requires some kind of knowledge for the specific structure-specific language, but we won't be covering that in depth. Documentation about that is pretty good. If you'll need support, you can always contact us. It would just take way too much time for this video. So for now, I'm removing this column, but I already have some examples of this column. So these delays columns is actually the column that is based on the formula. So you can see over here, I have some formula, and what it does, it basically informs us if the original estimate was different than the sum of time spent and remaining estimates. So basically, if we estimated task, for example, for 1 day, but in the end, and someone spent 1 day already and now also set the remaining estimate for another half day. So basically this task would take longer than initially estimated. This column will inform us about that. So everywhere where you have more than one, we basically spend already, or we see there will be delay, we will have to spend more time than initially planned. So over here, there are some tasks that are not estimated. For this task, for example, we already spent, we already know that the time spent plus the remaining estimate is greater than original estimated by 50%. Over here, it's twice as big. So we can, thanks to that formula, we can track what tasks are potentially will be causing delays in our project, or where we will need more resources involved than we initially expected. Over here, I have second column, actually two others, release mismatch. It tells us if the parent is in different release than children. So let me quickly find an example of that. Or let's just set the values. So yeah, let's set that this epic will be delivered in release Q1. So will this issue. This issue will have actually 2 releases assigned. And this just one, but the other one. So you can already see that something appeared in this column release mismatch, right? So if epic is delivered in release Q1, task that is released in the release Q1, it looks good over here. So there is no version mismatch, but for other, this one is released in 2 releases. There is a version mismatch. This one is indifferent. Also, this one doesn't have fixed version set. So basically, if we want to deliver whole epic in specific release, we can set this on epic level, and then BigPicture or the structure will make sure or will inform us if any of the children that have to be also delivered to deliver epic will be in different release. Other interesting formulas that we have over here, this one shows us the release date, right? So for the places where we have 2 releases, there are 2 different dates. Here we just have release date. And there is one more interesting field, time since last update, so we can basically see when each issue was updated last. So these are just kind of random examples, but this formulas allows us to basically take any information from the issue, compare it with other issues, do some kind of calculation, and display result in this column. So although it is a bit more complex than standard tricking because we need to how to write these formulas, this is really powerful tool, and I've seen very specific requirements being addressed by that. Okay, but we've talked about providing the information for stakeholders, right? Most of the time, you do not want stakeholders to come into the structure and try to find the right view where you added the columns that they should be interested in, try to find the proper structure, and in general navigate through this overall pretty complex tool. But structure as an add-on or as an app gives us new gadgets that we can use in our dashboard. So over here, I will go to edit. You can see that there is a structure gadget. And if we configure it, you will see that we can choose the structure and choose the view that we want to be displayed on this gadget. And when we do that, you'll see that exactly the set of columns that I've set from exactly the structure that I decided to display is available over here. So basically, for each group of stakeholders, maybe they are interested in kind of a different views and different perspectives, you can create separate dashboard or just separate gadget on the same dashboard and decide which columns will be visible to them. And thanks to the flexibility of we can add different columns, we can sum information up, you can do calculation on the formula fields. We can really show here information that is aimed at specific person and at specific needs. So you can see that structure can be really powerful reporting tool. It can be complex at the times, so especially when you want to create specific complex formulas. Also, it has some limitations. For example, if you would like to precisely report time spent for all the issues or for all the persons, for all the users in each of the projects, it could be a bit of a challenging. There are better add-ons to do that. But overall, this is a really nice tool, and very often it addresses the key pain points that normally we would expect Jira to address, but sadly they are not addressed. Anyway, if you have any questions, if you would like to check with us whether your case is something that can be addressed with structure, or you have any some doubts whether something can be addressed, how can it be addressed in structure, let us know. We will be happy to help, and that will be it for this video. Thanks for your time, and see you in the next one.